Hello everyone and welcome to the weekly UTS Accounting Show. I'm Dr. Nelson Ma.
And I'm Dr. Amanda White, and we welcome you to week 12. It's the last week
It's
of
the
term.
final week. How great is that? So Amanda, how are you?
I'm
towards the end of
good.
session?
I'm good.
Yeah?
It's exciting and both sad
Mm-hmm.
because this will be the last week that you'll see your students hopefully face to face, on campus or online. And you hope that you don't see them again. We love you, but
in
we
the
hope
nicest possible way.
that the next time we get to see you
Yeah.
is at graduation,
Yes.
and not because you failed and come back.
Yes.
So what's happening in the news this week, Nelson?
Yeah, so there's been a lot of chat about oil prices in the US because of a cybersecurity breach. Do you want to tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, so there's been a breach that has affected oil supply.
Mm-hmm.
And what you will have noticed if you watch the news is that it's like toilet paper. People are stockpiling.
Yeah.
It's probably not a good idea to stockpile a whole lot of fuel
Yeah.
in your home.
Yeah.
And the scarcity of supply is driving up demand. And it's not just that they use fuel for getting around in cars, but it will affect transportation of goods, etc. So there can be really big flow-on effects when it comes to cybersecurity.
Yeah.
And cybersecurity is becoming an increasingly important area for accountants to think about, to make sure that their systems and their systems are secure. Because all it takes is one person clicking on a link that might say like, your electricity bill is overdue, or something else is happening, to just crypto lock your entire system, or to encrypt your entire system, and then be held to ransom for Bitcoin or whatever else it might be. So there's been the SolarWinds hack. There's been data breaches at Facebook and lots of other social media companies. So we need to make sure that we take cybersecurity really seriously as a business risk. So it's not just a thing that affects the accounting and the auditing, but also the continuity of your business as well. Now, in terms of big business, Nelson, I hear that Telstra has received the biggest ever fine in telecommunications history in Australia of $50 million for taking advantage of Indigenous customers and making it seem like some things were free, like iPads and Apple Watches, when in fact they were piling them into the monthly fee and giving them crippling debt. So 50 million sounds like a lot.
It does. It does. Like for you and I, it sounds like a lot of money.
I can't even imagine.
For most people. But if you actually look at the finer details, Telstra made about $1.8 billion last year in profit. So that really
1.8 billion.
Yeah, billion, not million.
That's $1,000 million.
Yeah. Yes, not a million.
Not a million. We've had a. Yes, I thought a billion was a million millions. Turns out I was very wrong.
Yeah.
But 50 million out of $1.8 billion worth of profit. What percentage?
We're talking like 2.7%.
2.7%.
Tiny amounts of money being paid out. In contrast,
and they have like 500 million. Is it how much?
They've got about
cash?
500 million in cash.
500
anyway.
million
So
of cash.
10% of their cash balance.
So it's let's just pay that.
That's me going to get like a big lunch at this stage of my career. So so I guess it points to the fact that from an accounting perspective, it's really not a lot of money, right? Because we need to use comparatives. We can't really just take the raw number as it is, because it doesn't really make sense unless you put it in the context of the size of the business.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing. The second thing is, it goes to show that accounting is not always useful in all perspectives, because a lot of the reason why the employees were actually engaging in such predatory practices is because their incentives were aligned to increasing sales. Right, accounting numbers, and in order to get bonuses and all that kind of thing. And so it kind of shows that accounting is important, but it's not everything. So we shouldn't be using accounting to make sales staff work harder, because it usually leads to these misaligned incentives that encourages predatory and unfair practices.
Absolutely, and this is where we could use accounting information along with non-accounting information as a really important part of performance measurement and performance management. Those shout out to all those students doing MDC and MPC in the postgraduate programs, because this is where we talk about how accounting can actually be misused. And this is the same with CEOs, executives, where we have a problem called agency. So agency theory says that, well, if you're a manager, you're going to do everything for your short-term gain and not the long-term viability of the company. We try and align manager and shareholder incentives by
Yeah.
giving them shares or making them buy shares or giving them share options.
Yep.
But when you go down to the level where employees don't have shares, then we need to think really carefully about what we use. As you
Yeah.
mentioned, the idea of hitting sales targets
Yeah.
can be really, detrimental to customers.
Yep.
Even at one particular retailer I know of, where people are paid their monthly sales bonus and it doesn't take into account sales returns. So somebody once said, oh yeah, I get my friends to come in and buy a whole lot of items
Yeah.
at the end of the month, get my sales up for the month, and then a week after the month end and they've received their bonus, just return them because the store has a no questions asked refund policy. So you've got to be really careful.
There's a lot of unintended consequences from using accounting numbers or financial numbers specifically, and you need to be aware of that in order to...
And this is why accounting is important, even if you don't want to be an accountant.
Yeah.
If you're in marketing, in events management, in human resources, economics, finance, every part of business uses accounting information. So if you're still thinking about what major you want to choose, then consider accounting as one of these things that gives you skill sets that complement what your main career path might be. Now, it is the last week, and I know students are feeling tired. I'm feeling tired.
I'm certainly feeling tired.
We're all feeling tired. Marking is coming up for academics. Obviously, students are studying.
Yep.
What should students be trying to find out in this last week from their academics?
Well, I think really there should be basically bridging all the gaps that they have in their knowledge at this stage. Like, we've learnt across the entire session, we've done 11 weeks, back to our 12th week, and we should really just be consolidating our knowledge at this stage. And, in your revision classes that you guys have this week, take the opportunity to really figure out where you might have gaps in knowledge or maybe certain things didn't make sense to you, and ask as many questions as you can. I think that's a really good starting place. What do
And
you
most
reckon?
academics this week will also be giving exam hints.
Yeah.
Now, of course, exam hints are not like, well, it's going to be like question 3 in the homework and question 2 out of week 7. Generally you will get larger hints. Like, oh, well, there are going to be 6 questions. It's going to be 2 hours. It's going to cover everything in the course. Or the second half of the course. It's a little bit different than if you're in high school where quite often you get very specific things that you're told about. So you should prepare for everything.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can't expect one particular type of question because there are so many versions of the exam that get used.
And this is the risk with past papers. So if you have a subject and my subject gives out past papers, what you get in the past paper may not be what you get in your actual paper. So just don't study that past paper because that's a really high risk strategy.
Absolutely.
And beware as well, if you're doing an online exam, there might be the use of rotational questions. So, for question 5, students might get allocated randomly one of 4 different variations of a question. So what you get might not be the same as what somebody else gets within your course. The other thing I would ask this week is find out when your consultation sessions are. So your academics should be running consultation sessions during the STUVAC period. So ask them, are they online? Are they on campus? Do you need to make an appointment? Are they going to be recorded? I record all mine just in case students can't come along. But find out when those are. Put those in your diary just in case you do have a question. And typically, if a student has a content question, if they don't come to a consultation or a Q&A session, where else would you recommend that they go to ask questions from their teaching staff, academics?
So there's always a discussion forum on Canvas. So that's probably one of the best places to go.
Don't send us an email. We love you, but please don't send us an email. Only because you're asking something that probably many students have asked before. So pop it in the discussion forum and someone will get to you. I usually take, I try and reply reasonably quickly, but my rule of thumb would normally be once you get to the STUVAC period, most of us are checking our discussion forums once a day.
At least.
So, you'll be looking for something, within 24 hours. If you're a student and you see a question you know the answer to, what should you do?
Just answer it.
Don't keep it to yourself.
I think the best way of learning is actually teaching something to someone else. So it really forces you to think about how you would put it in words if you had to, if you know something. So great way of learning.
Awesome. So yes, emails are for things related to personal issues. Look, I've been really unwell. What should I do?
Yeah.
Or I'm mentally, not coping well with the subject. Or for all of our students who have family or studying in India, in Myanmar, across the subcontinent where COVID is really hitting hard. Then if you need extra support, then you can reach out to UTS. Counselling service if you're here locally. If you're overseas, then reach out to your coordinator and they can help provide some support because we know this is a really disruptive time.
Yes.
So there are other things that we can do. Normally, if you're unwell, like if you're unwell on the day of the exam, Nelson, what do you have to do?
Apply for special consideration as soon as possible.
If you sit the exam.
Yes.
If you missed the exam, you need to apply for the alternative exam.
Yep.
And if you're here in Australia, you will be asked to provide some sort of supporting evidence,
Yep.
just so that, it might be that you've gone for a COVID test and you've got
Yep.
the paperwork or your
Yep.
referral,
Yep.
Something from your medical practitioner or for your mental health practitioner.
Yep.
If you are in places like India and Myanmar where trying to get any sort of documentation right now is really, really difficult,
Yep.
then get in touch with your coordinator
Yep.
because UTS is waiving a lot of the medical documentation requirements because that would just overburden the health system in a lot of these countries even more. And it's similar if, all throughout Southeast Asia. So I'm hearing terrible things happening in Nepal in relation to COVID-19, in Pakistan, all around that part of the subcontinent.
Yeah.
And Asia.
Yeah.
So we do understand that it's a really hard time for everybody, but reach out for some help if you do need some. And get in touch with your academic, and if they're a bit confused about what to do, then ask them to talk to their head of department, or they can even get in touch with me, and we can help guide them through the process because we're altering the rules a little bit at this point in time. But it's masks are now not compulsory on campus as well. So if you are coming onto campus, you don't have to wear one, but if you want to wear one, that's absolutely fine as well. Just keep remembering to check in with your QR codes wherever you're going, just in case. It's always easier for contact tracers to get in touch with people if you've already checked in with your QR code. I always forget to check out.
Yes,
I think I was at Bunnings for like 2 days because I forgot to check out there. Yeah, but otherwise, any last words? I don't know. If you want us to keep going into next week, we're happy to keep the series going. But, let us know in the comments if you do want the show to keep going.
Let us know what you guys want to hear about.
Doing it anyway.
We could.
I like doing it anyway.
I don't mind.
So, hello to everybody out there. Last words.
Good luck. Just keep
at it. You don't need luck. You've got hard work.
Yep.
And you've been working hard since you've been watching this show. So good luck, everybody, and we'll see you all soon.
Bye.
I made myself a tiny bit taller since.
Okay. Fair enough. All right.
I didn't know what I was going to say.
Sure.
Why don't you start this week?
Okay. Hello and welcome everyone to our weekly. What is this thing?
We just call it the weekly accounting show.
Okay.
UTS weekly accounting show.
UTS weekly accounting show. Okay. Hello and welcome everyone to the weekly UTS accounting show.
Hi everybody. Oh gosh.
Alright, let's really go.
We'll try again.
I don't know what. Okay.
Take 3.